Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr.
Excellent.
Cervoni, before you start,
Yeah.
just as a way of introduction and further explanation, I want to remind the board and our guests, and thank you to those middle school teachers who are with us, as well as the students that are hiding around the corner, for being here this evening. Just over a year ago, Mr. Cervoni made a presentation to the board and gave us an update on the middle school. And there were some questions, and working together, I'm sure he'll talk about that a little bit. Through discussion, it was decided to maybe give a clearer picture of where we were, where we are today, and where he hopes to lead the middle school in the future. And that's really the crux of this presentation tonight. Okay, take
Yep,
it away,
thank-
Mr. Cervoni.
Thank you. So good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Certicio, and a happy holidays to all in attendance. My name is Jeff Cervoni. I am the principal of Eden Middle School. I'd like to do a couple introductions before we begin because I have three of our middle school teachers here to present a little bit later. I've got Mr. Randall Pearson, who is middle school math and does some clubs for us. Mr. Andrew Brunner, who's a science teacher, and Mrs. Rachel Braun, who is our art teacher. So I give them a big thanks for being here tonight. Tonight, I'm going to share with you a lot of important information about middle level education, many elements that make up Eden Middle School, and what we implement that makes us a comprehensive middle school. I start with this quote from Aristotle. It's up there, right? Okay. Educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. This quote grabbed me because I really feel this embraces and encompasses middle level education. It is much more than just teaching curriculum. It is truly about the whole child, the academic, social, and emotional development of our 6th through 8th graders. Do I forward it? I don't. Okay. If you were to look up the definition of a comprehensive middle school, this is the definition you would find. Let's see if I can get this out of my way here. Middle school is an educational institution that typically covers grades 6 through 8 in the United States educational system. Although the specific grade ranges may vary in different regions, it serves as an intermediary stage between elementary school, which is typically K to 5, and high school, which generally covers 9 through 12. I bolded this part because it's important. The main purpose of middle school is to provide students with a transitional experience that helps them navigate the academic, social, and emotional changes associated with adolescence. These would be our 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. So a brief history of Eden Middle School. It was a district initiative that we did a lot of planning in the 17-18 school year. And really where this stemmed from is that as a district, we wanted to offer more to our students. We recognized that 6th grade was down the road in our elementary school, and we had 7th and 8th grade at the junior, senior high school with our 9th through 12th graders. And we recognized the importance of getting 6th, 7th, and 8th grade together in one place so that we could focus on true middle level education, instructional teams, activities and clubs geared around middle level students, really with a focus on the whole child. It also allowed us to align our district. Here, we're not K through 5, we're K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. So Eden Middle School started, sorry, just moving this out of the way, in the 18-19 school year officially. That's when we had our 5th and 6th grade orientations. And then we got hit with COVID after that. So we're not that old. Eden's Comprehensive Middle School has a focus on physical, emotional, academic, and social needs as our students change from childhood to adolescence. At Eden Middle, we are committed to creating a caring and academically rigorous environment where all students can reach their unique potential. So as Mr. Sortisio and I were talking about our comprehensive middle school, we met a bunch of times, had great conversations around middle level education. He had asked me to do some comparisons. He said, look at some local schools, see what's similar to us, see what they're doing, and do a comparison. And I thought that was a great idea. And away I went. So the middle schools that I looked at initially were local. I looked at Cleve Hill, I looked at Royalton Heartland, and I looked at Lewiston Porter. And I had a list of questions that I generated. I talked to each principal for probably 45 minutes to an hour, just picking their brain on their middle school. Most of these schools were either rural or suburban. They had typical 9-period days. One had a 6-period block. Their free and reduced varied from 35% free and reduced to roughly 20%. This gives us an idea of their socioeconomic status. I asked about common planning with their teachers. Some had all grade levels. Some didn't have common planning. At Eden, we have common planning with our core that works with our special education teacher. That's our integrated co-teach model where we have 2 teachers in a class per day. I then talked a little bit about their social emotional programs. One school uses Second Step, which is a curriculum geared around social emotional learning. One school really didn't have a strong social emotional program. They were working on it. One used Habits of the Mind, which is a Stephen Covey based program. At Eden Middle, we're big with Second Step in our health, which I'll talk about more later in this presentation. And we use a program called Panorama, where we do a benchmark 2 to 3 times a year that students take. It's short. It's about 5 to 6 questions. We generate the questions. They take it during an extended homeroom. And it kind of gives us a little bit of an idea of where their mental wellness is. And then we review that information and we make informed decisions around it. I asked about student leadership opportunities in their middle schools. Many of them are the same across the board: National Junior Honor Society, Student Council. A couple had a big brother, big sister program, Family Resource Center. The others said their big leadership was Student Council for their middle level. At Eden, we have Student Council, we have National Junior Honor Society, we have a Save Promise Club, which is part of our Sandy Hook anonymous reporting system. And we do a couple of cool nights during the year, and I'll talk more about this later as well, but we have a literacy night where we have some opportunities for our middle school students to lead, and a math and science night that we have in the spring. I then asked them what languages they offer, just curious, because we offer 3 here at Eden. 2 were Spanish. Newport actually offers French, Spanish, and Chinese, and I thought that was kind of neat that they had Chinese. At Eden Middle, we offer French, German, and Spanish. And then my last follow-up was, what kind of student supports do you offer? So many had tutoring. They had lunch groups where they pull kids out of lunch and sit with them. They have some support teams in place. One had an after-school enrichment program. Others had after-school enrichment. At Eden, we have a learning lab every period of the day, which we love having. We haven't always had that, but we're able to offer our students a structured study hall that is manned by a teacher, and students either go there willingly or we assign them if we feel they're struggling academically. We have a great after-school academic enhancement program that we offer transportation home from. We have PLCs that meet 12 times a year. PLCs are professional learning communities where our teachers meet as a grade level. We talk about students, we look at student data, and we just have great conversations around our students at the middle level. We do have lunch groups, and then we pride ourselves in communicating about our academics with families at different intervals during the school year. So when I went back and Mr. Sortisio and I sat down and we started looking at these local schools, he actually said to me, he goes, hey, let's look at a top school. Let's look at some of the real big hitters. And he had mentioned, I think, Brighton in Rochester, which is a real top-notch middle school. And I said, that's a great idea. I loved it. I, wrote down the name, and then we actually generated a list of 5 really high-performing middle schools in New York State. Locally wasn't enough for us. We needed to see what the heavy hitters were doing. So I called Pittsford Calkins Middle School in Rochester, 12 Corners Middle School in Brighton. I think that's where the conversation started. AA Kingston, which is in Potsdam, Transit Middle, which is in our backyard, as part of the Williamsville School District. It's always ranked number 1. Lakeland Copper Beach in Yorktown Heights. That's just outside of New York City, right before you get there. So I called each of these schools, and I probably had an hour conversation with every principal, and I took a much deeper dive. We asked a lot more questions. We picked their brains a lot more around what they're doing in their middle schools. So we called every school, and we looked at, these are some of the big elements that we looked at. I'm going to share a lot more than this with you, but the things you see on this screen really make up comprehensive middle level education. These are the big things. And I wanted to know way more than just these, but for purposes of the presentation, I listed these. So all these schools were 6 through 8. A couple were 5 through 8. We do see middle schools sometimes have the 5th grade, but most people feel 6 to 8 is the best, grades for middle level education. They range from very affluent to lower socioeconomic to middle of the road. The populations varied from 300 to 1,200. So I asked them about their periods. Like, how do you run your school day? Are you doing anything unique? Most all of them were a 9 or 10 period, 40-minute, 41, 42, depending period straight schedule. At Eden, we have a 9-period, 41-minute day with 3-minute passing time. I asked them what they do for lunch. Some of them cut lunch a little short and try to use them for some academic supports. Some just have straight 41-minute lunches where the students just get to chill out with their friends and enjoy lunch. At Eden, we have 3 lunches. They're 41 minutes. And we do often think about, could we cut them shorter? Could we utilize that time in a different way? I will tell you that at Eden Middle, we do pull them out of lunch when needed because we do have some extra time built in. It's never a bad time for us to meet with them with counselors or supports. And a lot of times we don't. They just enjoy a 41-minute lunch with their friends, and it's their time to blow off steam. I looked at free and reduced lunch. This ranged from 3% to 37%. So we had some wealthier districts and some less wealthy. I asked them about common planning time for their teachers because we work hard here at Eden Middle and high school where we like, how do we get teachers time together during the day? Several had their core teachers meeting. One of them did not have it at all, couldn't schedule it. At Eden, we have our core that works with our special education teacher. And we love that we can provide that in the schedule to give them 41 minutes of planning time to plan their integrated co-teach class. I did talk about their special education models because it's been a big topic in our district. One has just ICT, which is integrated co-teach, whereas a special educator and a regular educator co-teach the class. Many had ICT, CT, which is consultant teacher, 12-1-4, which is 12 students, 1 teacher, 4 aides, 15-1. So I saw it all over the place with their special education at Eden. We are ICT, which is integrated co-teach, and we're very proud of this. We're very inclusive. Our special education students are in classes with regular education students. And we have 2 teachers in there that are working collaboratively to deliver instruction. We talked about social emotional learning and what things they had in place. Some had community circles where students came together and could talk about their needs. I thought that was kind of neat. Something else I thought that was kind of an interesting concept was a win period, of what I need. So students that are struggling or want to talk about things had some time in their day to come down and talk to some support people to say, this is how I'm feeling today, and these are the things I feel I need. Others had teachers meeting with students. We had one that had counselors pushing in classrooms. Lakeland, Copper Beach, and Yorktown had big health curriculum where SEL was taught. And at Eden, we're very similar to that. We focus on SEL curriculum in health. We do our panorama survey, so we know where our students are 2 to 3 times a year. We get a sense, and then we meet with all those students after we review that benchmarking data. We have PLCs, which meet 12 times a year, where we discuss our students, both academically and social emotionally. And we have a student support team made up of counselors, principals, psychiatrists, or psychologists that meet every Monday to discuss students. Happens every Monday about 8 o'clock. Times for that meeting vary, but we get into it with kids. Languages. Kind of some similar stuff here, Spanish, French, and Latin was offered in one. I thought Latin was a cool language to offer. I don't know if we could find a Latin teacher if we had to, but French, Spanish, and German, French and Spanish only, and in 8th grade, which didn't really make sense to me because I think you need it in 7th and 8th to meet the state requirements. One of them offered Spanish and Italian. I thought it was really cool that they offered Italian. In Eden, were Spanish, French, and German for 6th or 7th and 8th grade. So very similar. Student supports, I saw ELA labs and math labs throughout the day, structured study halls in some of the schools. 504 coordinators, making sure students' needs are met. Working with students on executive functioning and academics. One had grade levels meeting a couple times a week to talk about students. And actually at Eden, we're with some time at the end of the day now, we're starting to push to have more of our teachers kind of meet and talk about students as we see a need. Homework club, one of the gripes was they didn't have transportation. This transportation theme comes up a couple different times because they want to do things, and the struggle with transportation is real. A lot of schools do struggle being able to, support transportation for students with everything they want to do after school. One had a couple teacher assistants helping students. And another school had a flex period for enrichment or support during the day. So at Eden, we have learning labs every period. It's either voluntary or we assign a student because we think you need that support. We have PLCs that meet. We have AEP, Academic Assistant Program after school. And we provide busing for everything we do at Eden. And it's probably not the easiest thing for us, but we offer really solid before and after supports and transportation. So it was a proud moment to hear that we offered those things, and not everyone, even these great schools, could do it. I did ask about intramurals because this has been a hot topic at the middle school since it started. We did struggle initially to get it off the ground, and it has been running for a while. It is very well attended. All of these schools offer it, and they all offer it in the morning early. And I said, why not offer it in the afternoon? Because I have people always asking me, Jeff, can you get this in the afternoon? It was the same for all these principals. We don't have transportation and we don't have space. And we will continue to work to get it in the afternoon at Eden. I don't know if it'll ever get there, but we know that so we actually have parents drop their students off here at 6:30. They check in. Mr. Dolbeck has been running it. We probably have 20 plus students that really enjoy it. They run around like crazy in the gym, and then they get dressed and they go to school at 7:15 and their day starts. I asked about an ISS room. We have had talks at Eden about an in-school suspension room. Most of them do not have this. One does, and it's supported by teacher assistants or teachers. At Eden, we do not have an in-school suspension room. We did years and years ago when I started here. And for whatever reason back then, we just felt we no longer needed it. But I will tell you that talks have resurfaced about the possible need or want for this. So we're investigating it. I did ask about academic probation. Do they monitor grades? Some said no. We don't. Others said, no, counselors look at them and meet with students. One said we do, but just for extracurriculars. Another school, no. Other schools said teams of teachers meet to talk about students and see what supports we can put into place. At Eden, we offer it for all students. We monitor their grades every 5 weeks, and depending on where you are at academically, you could be on academic probation. And it's really where we watch you for 5 weeks and just keep track of how you're doing, give you little nudges to do better, put in some supports after school, and really just try to get your academics back up. I asked about benchmarking. How do you know where your students are academically? Some just started some common assessments. One school does AIMSweb, which we used to do in math and reading. They did it twice a year, not 3 times. Another school does an in-house produced assessment. Another school uses modules and unit tests as their benchmarking. At Eden, we benchmark 3 times a year in math and ELA and 2 to 3 times for social emotional learning. I asked about professional development. How do you guys keep your teachers and staff trained and current? One of the schools offer a ton. We're training them constantly. The other school was teacher centers. Teachers have to go there and they work with instructional coaches to get their professional development. One said we don't have a lot at all. It's a gap. We're looking at improving that. The other was the use of district conference days. At Eden, I would say that all of our superintendent conference days are used for professional development. And one of the things I like that we do, and we just did it this week and last week, is that if we see a need or we hear a need, we look to meet that need. And so we had some teachers asking about ICT or integrated co-teach support. And we pulled one of our teachers out of the elementary school, and we had teams of teachers training during the day, found them coverage right here at the middle school in the conference room. So they were able to work with a trainer and work with their co-teacher and get training during the school year. Great topic to talk when you talk middle school is extracurriculars, because the standard ones are always across the board. National Junior Honor Society, Student Council, sports and intramurals are typically consistent. But in the middle school, so many clubs are driven by student interest. So you get students that come up and say, you know, we really want an art club. And all of these schools run just like we do. Yes, we support it. Try it for a year, monitor it, take attendance, take great notes, tell us what you think. And then let's do a report at the end of the year and see if this is a club we want to continue to run. So it was really neat to see some of these clubs. I mean, we had a Minecraft club at one school, Best Buddies. One school had a morning show. We had coding. We had a ski club. One school had a sign language club that was started by a deaf student. We had a babysitting club that was talked about. One school, I thought this was very cool, bear tracking in Yellowstone, because students were into it. Fantasy football club, Star Wars club, wellness group. At Eden, we have art club, drama, hero club, GSA, tech club, robotics, just to name a few. Excuse me. So I asked about advanced opportunities. This was consistent across the boards, mostly math and science. One school offered studio and art in DDP. These are 9th grade courses normally. DDP is drawing and drafting for production. It's a tech course typically taken by 9th graders. At Eden Middle, we are 6 through 8 advanced math and 8th grade advanced science. And then the rest, like I asked about their counselors, social workers, SROs, very consistent. Everybody has an SRO, has the counseling supports. One school does not have a school resource officer. They have 3 security guards. I don't know what that tells us about their environment, but they just do it a little different than SROs. Questions about any of that research on?
So a quick question.
Yeah.
So how many are structured like us building wise? So how many of them like Frontier's got, you know, the middle school land fell by itself?
Yep.
And then, you know, we're a little different. So of the ones you research, how many of them look more like us versus maybe having that own separate building as?
Most of the higher end ones, because they were much larger, had their own building. Some are connected through a hallway to their high school. Believe it or not, I didn't ask that question. It's a good, now you bring it up, it's a good question. But some had like a hallway that connected them. They shared some staff, but there was some segregation. I told them we were under one building. Some of them said, how do you do that logistically? And I really focus on the benefits of the things I see and the, you know, what our middle schools get from being with our high schoolers. I like that most of our stuff is upstairs, but that they do get a little bit of exposure with some of our common areas. And I remember that being a big focus group concern way back when we started the middle school, the buses, you know, the interactions. And I have really observed positive interactions and relationships with our middle school and high schoolers. And some of the things that our middle schoolers get to experience, they wouldn't in a separate building. Did I answer that appropriately? Okay. Well, I can tell you the guy to my left here asked me about it, and we started looking at it a little bit. So it does have a little bit of juice going. I mean, we just looked at some cost and transportation. Of course, transportation comes into it right away. But yes, sir. So I move on to tenets of middle level education. These are the real important pieces of middle schools. School culture and community. It is crucial that we create warm, welcoming, inclusive, and affirming environments for our middle level students. It's crucial at every level. I mean, I'm here to talk about the middle school. These kids are special when they're 11, 12, and 13, and they're going through, if you've had a middle schooler, you know what I'm talking about with middle school kids and adolescents. A lot of you guys went through this with me. But it all starts with really positive relationships. We need to build these. And I set high expectations. Our teachers have high expectations in how we interact with our kids. We need to build positive relationships before we can teach them. And we pride ourselves on this. Excuse me. I've only read this presentation 30 times, so bear with me a little bit. So we set high expectations. Where do we observe these? We observe them in classrooms. We see them during extracurriculars. I see them in interactions in the hallways. I see them when kids are in classrooms and they don't need to be there. And we pride ourselves, me, all of our teachers, our staff, on modeling behaviors that we expect out of our students. Student academic growth. So a constant and consistent focus. Our MTSS, which is our multi-tiered system of supports. This is knowing where your students are, meeting them at their level, and doing everything we can to support them, put in interventions, and monitor their progress. This is low, medium, and high. And it all starts in the classroom. Good instruction is the best start for all of our students. What the teachers do, how they work with students, how they differentiate, how they communicate with families is where it all begins. And we do a lot in this district to support instruction. We benchmark. We want to know where students are. So 3 times a year, we're looking at data saying, okay, where are we? Where are our gaps? Where are our strengths? Where are our weaknesses? Not everything is always great. We know we have areas we can be better at. We accept those. And those are typically where we focus. So we're proud that we benchmark and we know where students are. We have an academic enhancement program after school to support our students with certified teachers that work with them in a very structured environment, and we bus them home. We monitor grades here at every 3, 5, 8, and 10-week interval. And then that repeats. So 13, 15, 17. Because in our mind, if we can reach out to a parent and say, you know, your son or daughter is struggling, can we do some work and put some effort in before we hit the 5-week mark, before they're on probation, to get their grades up? And we find when we partner with parents and we tell them what we have available, sometimes they don't know. We see grades go up. We see improvement. It's not 100%. It's not a perfect formula, but we never find that over communicating is a bad thing when it comes to parents and families. We have learning labs every period. We love having these. They're structured. We are actually getting better and better. We're assigning students to the learning lab teachers so that they can look at the student, look at their grades, see what they're missing, give them the motivational kind of, oomph to go, like, get this, let's get this done. We're working more and more on teachers communicating with learning lab teachers to say, hey, I know so-and-so's in your 5th period learning lab. They owe me this, this, and this. It's working out. It's working out well. We try hard to keep middle school with middle school teachers. I can tell you that Marie Benlin, one of our high school math teacher, has a large middle school learning lab with a lot of kids, and they're loving her. They're loving the support in math, and we're seeing improvements. So it's not a perfect system, but we try to always match it with middle. And then we have Branching Minds, which is our data dashboard. And this is where all the information comes. It's brand new. We're learning it. We're at the ground floor. The middle school has embraced it. We have, the 3 teachers that are with me here today have been on the ground floor of this. And it's really a spot where we can look at student information. We can make informed decisions. We can put in interventions, and then we can monitor our students. And our hope is that we get better and better at this, and this becomes our go-to tool to really supporting students, both academically and social emotionally. This is a picture. This would actually be your view looking at me of a Branching Minds training. We had this, I don't remember when we had this, but it was a great training session. And you can see everybody working away. We were making groups of students in Branching Minds. We were putting in interventions. We're really just playing with the program and seeing how effective it can be. Get to my right page here. So another big tenet of middle level is school safety. Very important in schools today. We have the physical plant as one piece of school safety. Our SRO program started when the middle school started in 18 and 19. We have 2 school resource officers that are Eden Police. They work Monday through Wednesday, and then the second half of Wednesday through Friday. They split the shift for the district. I have observed their interaction in positive relationships with students as they interact and move about the building. So it's that relationship piece again. They're talking to kids. They help us with problems, but they really are just a great presence in the building. They help us with all of our safety drills. We're mandated a specific amount of drills per year. They are typically involved whenever we do fire drills, lockdowns, shelter in places, and they will push into classrooms as needed or as requested to teach. Really, for any teacher that asked them to, we have asked them to do some things as well. We have a comprehensive training. Our student support team completed the CSTAG, the Comprehensive School Threat Assessment Guideline training. It's a great training for us to have, to be equipped with the tools needed to assess and evaluate what we might perceive as a threat, whether it is transient or substantive. And what we find at the middle level is most of them are transient. They really don't have a lot behind them, but at least we have a playbook and some training on how to deal with them and manage them, which really just increases our school safety as a whole. The second piece to school safety is the social emotional learning component. It's the counseling and supports. Extremely important at the middle level. These adolescents go through a lot emotionally, physically. We work with them quite a bit in the counseling office for a variety of reasons. And again, it's relationships. We want them to be comfortable to come down and see me, even on the principal, right? We sometimes have to break that barrier. Mr. Mitten, our counselor, our social workers. So we work hard and we want to develop this mutual respect and trust and build these relationships. And I think we do a good job of this. Sometimes it takes, a breakthrough moment and they go, hey, it's not so bad being down here. I can come down and talk to you guys. Big focus on SEL, which stands for social emotional learning in our health classes. Students take health 6th, 7th, and 9th grade. In those health classes, they use the second step curriculum. They also use their own curriculum. They spend about 2 to 3 weeks on things like mindfulness, social health, stress management, how to express emotion. Middle level students struggle with these things. We have a great district initiative that we just started called Same Here. This benefits our students, staff, and community. We actually started with our staff and community before we even rolled this out to students because we wanted everybody on board. And it's really an understanding of the concept of mental wellness, what it looks like, where we all are in this continuum of mental health, because it's not just you have mental health problems. Oh, no, you don't. It's we all are on a spectrum. And so the first training went well. Parent assembly went great. Staff assembly, very well received. People are very excited about the continued relationship. And I don't really think we knew how great this was going to be when we talked about it as a leadership team. And it really has turned out to be, so far, we're just in the initial stage 1, but we like it. And students liked it, teachers liked it. So we're pretty excited. Youth mental health training for all. District, I'm trying to think of the right word here, Mr. Sortisio, if it's mandate but initiative, thank you. You were trained on youth mental health, no matter who you were in this district. And it was a great training. And you got trained no matter when you were hired, what time of the year. We found coverage and you were trained. And this really equips all of our staff. They all work with students, right? It's not just me or teachers, the bus drivers, the cleaners, the custodians. We all work with students. So it equips them with the tools, the knowledge to identify and understand mental health, what to look for. Doesn't mean they fix people, but boy, if they notice something, they can certainly report it to the professionals that can. It's a full day. It's actually a great full day training. Partnership with Kids Escaping Drugs. So we're starting to push toward educating on vaping, drugs, alcohol. We kind of got sick of every time you catch a kid with a vape that you're we need to help and educate our students. So we're working with Kids Escaping Drugs. We have a great assembly planned for the middle school on January 12th, I think is a Friday. We have a separate one for 9 through 12 because the topics are different, but they are going to talk about these topics. And we feel that we just we need to just keep putting this in front of our students and educating them and, giving them the supports to quit a bad habit if they've started one unexpectedly or didn't think it would, be addictive or didn't, we just want them to have as much as we can give them to make good informed choices. So another important tenet of middle level is activities, family, and community engagement. We have 2 6th grade orientations. We have one at the end of the 5th grade school year. The kids come up, go in our auditorium, meet me, meet the counselors. We talk to them. We have some senior middle school students that guide them around the school. And this is really about reducing anxiety because we know the research says when you go from one building to the next, there is an increase in anxiety. It's just a fact. So if we can get them here a couple of times, we hope that we can relieve that. So at the end of their 5th grade year, they come up, move them all about the building, have a good time, let them see everything. And then in the end of summer, mid-August, we have probably a 2-hour 6th grade orientation where we meet in the auditorium. We talk about all things middle school, the schedules, the electives, how you're, where the office is, where's the nurse. And it's really about walk the building, walk your schedule 30 times, do your locker 10 times. I mean, they struggle with locks in 6th grade. They must not do locks in 5th grade. I don't know. But for them to walk their schedule and just start to feel at ease and relieve themselves of that nervousness, it's great to see it during that day. And it's a great event. I know that we have some moms here that have been part of this 6th grade orientation. Parents are there. We get almost 100% attendance. So we have a shared decision-making team. That's a 6 through 12 team. It's filled with teachers, parents, students, board members are on there. And we make and have good discussions around building related issues. We come at it with a solution focus. So we talk backpacks, we talk, transition time, shortening lunch. So it's just a great way to get people involved, let them know what our school's about, give them a voice. And a lot of what we see change in our code of conduct comes from the shared decision-making team. We have a great literacy night at the middle level. We partner with the Eden Library. It's about a 2-hour event in the evening. We have stations, library, different stations throughout the building where they do literacy activities, book swap, book reading, fun night. We do a great math and science night where we partner with Fredonia State College, and their aspiring teachers come in with their coordinator, and we do math and science activities. And that night culminates with an award assembly in the foyer. Kids love it. Movie night out back by the athletic entrance. Of course, we have tractor day, and not all middle level can participate because they're too young and they can't drive tractors, but because they're in this building with us, they get to experience tractor day. They love it. They look forward to a day where they can drive a tractor. They go out, they get to see them, they experience that day, and it's just nice that they have that, be part of that. We have about 15 modified sports for our 7th and 8th graders. 6th graders are not allowed to participate in sports. So we have the intramural program for the 6th, and then we have a sports program for our 7th and 8th grade. So we have a newsletter that we started last year. I think this was another suggestion by Mr. Sorticio. He said, you're sending this Raider report every week of great things. Why aren't we sending this to parents? Sort of looked at him like, I can't answer that. Like, you're right. Why aren't we? It's a good idea. So we worked with Mrs. Gregory on getting a program called SMORE, which is a great program for newsletters. And we take all the great things that we share in the Raider report, and we're putting it in this program as a newsletter. We set one at the end of the year. We set one at the end of October. We have one scheduled to go out this Friday. Why we weren't celebrating this before, I have no excuse for that. We should have been. We do great things, and I love that we're doing it now. We can't wait. I can't wait for all of you to get this newsletter. A lot of it you will have seen in the Raider report, but we love the thought of parents, and we can track it through the program. And I will tell you, hundreds of people look at it. We have some links for free and reduced lunch, and we get to see who's clicking. So I'm hoping, as this builds, we get more and more people looking at it, but we had a good first couple newsletters. Always big at middle level is celebrating success. We try to take every opportunity to celebrate student success. We have a student of the month breakfast. Every 2 months, we do a breakfast in the cafeteria that we buy for our students that are nominated by their teachers. So they're nominated every month, but we do the breakfast every 2 months. And Mrs. Grunder is one of our prime helpers and coordinators of the student of the month. Thank you, Mrs. Grunder, for your time. It happens at 7:30. And we call kids down, and some students don't want to come down because they're embarrassed, and we hunt them down and we bring them down because we're going to celebrate them. We feed them. I give a wonderful speech and tell them how great they are, but they're typically recognized for doing something great, exemplifying a character virtue. They catch them doing something great and they award them. And we've actually move this forward to, they need to know, like, we want the teacher to hand them this award because they should know why Mr. Pearson nominated them. Like, we're handed it to them, certificates, a keychain, a pen. We say what a great leaders they are. They eat and then they go about their day, but it's a great event. We do awards at the middle school. We have National Junior Honor Society for students that meet those requirements. And we have honor and high honor roll for our students. So for whatever it's worth, back in the day, business first ranking was a big deal. In schools, this was just a big thing in every school. So this is how Eden Middle has ranked through the years. Even back when it was a junior, senior high, they ranked us. And it is a nice trajectory. They haven't done this in a while. I don't know the metric or the math they used to figure these out, but I believe a lot of it has to do with state test scores. And we have a very high number of opt-outs across the board for our state testing. But I do like that Eden has always improved and gone up in this category. So this was a question that all the principals and I talked about of all the schools I called, both top schools in Western New York State and the local schools. I said, what makes us great? What makes you guys great? And they would say, well, what makes you guys great, Jeff? And these were the talks we had. It's always great students. It's always dedicated and committed teachers, great support staff, families, and leadership at all levels. That's what they attribute to their great schools. And I would agree. And I think these are always things we can work on and get better at. But I love these 5 bullet points. Okay, you've heard a lot from me tonight. I have 3 middle school teachers with me. I do have to come back up here after they're done. I've got to close this up because I've got some goals that I want to share with the board. With that being said, I'd like to invite up Mr. Randall Pearson, middle school math teacher.
All right, we'll see if that helps. All right, so Jeff asked us to come up and talk about some of the things. I've been running a hero club, so I'm going to use this as a multi-purpose thing because I think a lot of people don't know about Hero Club. So I'm a little background info and just some of the great things that I think it does for our school. So it might be a little self-service why I'm up here, but that's okay. It was kind of interesting because I figured when I started writing about this, like there's a lot of things that Jeff and everybody doesn't know about me. So I pulled out a moment, said we might as well start with an origin story for Hero Club. When I first applied into education at Buff State, it was interesting because you had to tell them, why did you want to go into education? And you had to write an essay. So I write this essay. I had started as a business major. I switched over into education. I said, really, I want to make an impact. I want to make a difference. Like that was my main thing. Like, what kind of job can I have where I can have an impact? I get a note back saying, hey, we need some clarity on this. So being who I am, and obviously not reading really close, I rewrite the entire essay. And I just reform what I was saying into being a teacher is like being a superhero. I said, helping humanity, doing those things, making the world a better place. And I write this essay. Later on, I find I just had to fix and clarify one sentence in the essay, but then I wouldn't have this part of the story. So it kind of helps. Through college, my world revolved around working. I worked full time. I went to school full time. I was working at Toys R Us. Of course, hanging out with friends. And it wasn't until college, actually, some of my friends introduced me to the comic book shop. And a lot of people think that I did comics all my life. It didn't start till college. Made friends with the owner. We eventually had a crew. We called ourselves the Smallville Club because we would get together weekly, watch Smallville. It's a pretty tight-knit crew. So that was the thing. Smallville, by the way, if you don't know, was about Clark Kent, Superman in high school. So fast forward a couple of years, 2019, Jeff had come up to me and Mr. Mitten, and they're kind of like, hey, we have a student, doesn't seem to be fitting in. He's got strong interest in comic books, but he can't find anybody to really connect with or anything. Do you think maybe we could do like some kind of comic book club? And I was like, it's like, do you think there'd be interest? I'm like, well, yeah. Everybody I know loves comics. For granted, my world revolved around, oh, I might have mentioned my 5 years of working through, high school and college was at Toys R Us. So all my best friends were people from Toys R Us in a comic book shop. So to me, everybody loves comics and heroes. So I'm like, yeah, there'll be interest. Let's get this going. So in 2019, we started meeting about once a week. We met every Thursday. We got together, just a discussion group. We had to take a hiatus during COVID, like every other club, but we've been doing this a while. Have about anywhere from 12, I think we have 19 kids on our web or our Google Classroom page that I made, and it's been pretty solid. And at one time we talked about, do we make it just middle school? Do we make it high school? Kind of evolved as many things do. And we said, well, you know what, having both worked really well. I got to see students, Zach Karpinski, he's the president of our club right now, seeing where he was then and where he is now, like it's opened him up. We have a lot of middle schoolers in there, and it just makes a lot more connections, which I think in a school, those are the things you're looking for. And they get to see like our future leaders too. So it gives them these nice role models. We've had, so I got to bring this up. Zach's done a ton of work for us. He's created over, we call them issues, 50 issues of our agenda. Our basic goals have remained the same. We do a lot of good things. I think, again, if you're a parent, teacher, doesn't matter who you are, like these are things we like to hear in middle school. It's a discussion group. So some kids with similar interests to get together. And I'm trying to stay in order here because I can go off topic real quick. It's an avenue. We promote good, character traits, because that's what Hero Club is about. We changed the name at one point to Character Club, but for the most part, we said, no, we're trying to promote heroes. If you ever go in my classroom, on the front wall, there's literally a word wall. It used to say heroes and villains, and just a series of words, honesty and compassion and all those things that you would expect in a hero or a good character. And then you have some other things, on the other side. And one of the great talking points is they're always opposing words. And I like to bring this up, and you guys can think about it later. We have on the good character side, we have sincerity. And on the bad character side, we have sarcasm. And a lot of students will be like, well, sarcasm is funny, so then we get into the discussion. If you look up sarcasm, it means to tear down. So it can be funny, but if you're doing it over and over and over again, so we get a lot of good discussions, not just about the heroes, but about what makes a hero, who they are. And again, teaching those little, not so hidden meanings in those things. We do some viewing and gathering, some reading. So if there's good stories, and it's not just Marvel, DC, some of the kids read anime, the manga books, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter. So we cover a lot of spectrum there. Another goal we have is doing some charity work and good deeds. Mostly what we've done is we've jumped on things that other people are doing, because we're not truly an official club. Like we're in progress, we'll say. So we jumped on the blanket drive this year. We made sure they got over their 100 mark. We jump on the can drive. We do things like that. Later this year, we may do a superhero week and try and that'll be our first real fundraiser we do on our own. To try not to about that stuff. All right. So there's a lot of things we do, and I'm going to bring this up too, because I think it's a good point, is with our discussions with hero, anti-hero, and villain. Current days, if you do any watching, anti-villain is huge. You know, people love Deadpool and that kind of thing. But we take time to point out some things like, yeah, it's funny, but then there's those lines like, it's funny in a movie, what's funny in reality? And I think those things get blurred today with like YouTube and other things. Is when we were younger, there were cartoons, you know, Wile E. Coyote falls off the cliff. It's funny, haha. There's easy line between that and reality. You jump onto YouTube and video editing, and you know, all of a sudden we're laughing at things that maybe if it's real, we shouldn't. So we bring up all that stuff too. So Mr. Savoni helped get this going. He's taken notice. He saw right away, we're filling a need that's kind of missing in our school. We have lots of sports, we have a lot of music things, and there's clubs, but this is kind of something else, you know, something where the kids can just join, discuss. And it's just something I didn't see. I went, again, little background, I went to school here too. I was a sports kid, did a lot of sports, did the play a little bit, did AFS. We had a peer listening group. And I kind of feel like this, I think of it like our peer listening group, because even though we're talking about our fun stuff, we're also kind of connecting. It hits that. I know one of our district goals is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I feel like that's really hitting that missing group, you know, that, again, that kid that's looking for, oh, there's nobody interested in what I am. And all of a sudden you find out it's like, no, there's a big group, and it helps you find your place. Yeah, so I feel really strongly about this, about the connections. I think it opened up a lot of doors. If anybody knows Zach has joined a lot more clubs. I think things like this are kind of that with our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, making them feel more at home here and growing into those other things. And yeah, I think that's all I need to say. So I'm kind of, again, selling the club. I look forward to doing the Hero Club. Our middle school crew is great. Hopefully you can work out more details. And one last thing I want to say, I was listening, Jeff, and you had so many things like, I wish I had more time to just talk to everybody. But our middle school crew, we have 6, 7, 8, we've talked at PLC. It's really like the best transition crew we could have right now for our middle schoolers. Our 6th grade teachers come in, have a big wall to get over, because going from 5th grade to 6th grade, it's like a whole new world. All right. So they're the first ones, like getting the lockers, getting used to, you know, a little more solid due dates on things and this and that. And we have our 7th grade teachers. We then take it to the next level. Then they're in that 41-minute period, getting used to room to room. And I always laugh. I'm not picking on our 8th grade teachers, but it's also a progression of personalities. So 6th grade is a little tougher because you gotta bring them up. 7th grade, again, we set some higher standards, and then 8th grade, you know, Mr. Otley and Mrs. Giannotis, and then, you know, like, all right, guys, we're moving into high school next year. This is where we gotta be. So I think we have a good thing going on right now and a good transition. And I've been here a long time too. So conversations about buildings and everything, I've been through it all. So I have lots of ideas if you ever want to listen.
Randy, maybe ask if any questions.
Oh, okay. Any questions? I can do that.
There might not be any.
Okay, Mrs. Rachel Braun.
Thank you.
I'm a little worried if I stand over here, you're not going to be able to see me. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm Rachel Braun. I teach grades 6 and 7, middle school art. This past year, I was granted the opportunity to start a middle school art club for grades 6, 7, and 8. And so much of what Randy said is true for the art club also. This club really helped to fill a role for our students that are looking for something other than sports and music. We didn't have anything for fine arts other than their class time, which is limited. I only see them for 10 weeks in 6th grade and 20 in 7th. So this is also an offering for our 8th graders now. And again, it helps to meet our district goal our second district goal with that offering. The art club has taken off. It continues to grow. I have kids all of the time that are asking if they can still join. So it's been really nice to see the participation just blossom as the year's gone on. We are, we've done quite a bit so far. We've been able to do some collaborative work that we've displayed in the school. We have been able to make gifts for our board members this year. They were very excited about that. We have explored a variety of art techniques that we cannot do in the classroom because there just isn't time. So one of our future goals is I'm hoping to bring in some community artists to work with the kids and teach them some of the techniques that they excel at. It helps to make them feel a little more connected to the community if we can do that. So we have a couple of fun things planned for the future. We're hoping to go to the Albright Knox and Birchfield Penny Art Museum in the spring as a club field trip. And then in the fall, we are looking forward to participating in Art Alive with the Albright Knox Art Museum. So we've got a lot of really nice things for the kids to be involved in, both in school and outside of school. In a nice, safe environment where they can feel like they're part of the school community and they are, you know, their interests are worthwhile and important. We are a newer club, so we're still growing and learning, but it's been really wonderful so far. But thank you so much for letting me come up and talk. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Thank you for the stuff you gave us, your kids made.
Oh, yeah.
Nice job, Rachel. Thank you. All right, Mr. Andrew Brunner, science teacher and part of our district branching minds team.
Thank you, Jeff. Everyone, I'm Andy Brunner. I'm in my third year here. I'm the 7th grade science teacher predominantly, but I'm also the high school environmental science teacher. And I ended up at Eden mainly because I was looking for a school that had natural beauty around it. My background's forestry. I was practicing forestry out west before I got into education. I did a summer camp one summer. I was like, whoa, working with kids is kind of fun. Decided to come back and pursue it. And Eden's a nice balance of thoughtful community as well as beautiful natural wonders around us. And that gives us a unique opportunity to go outdoors. So I've really loved it here, not just for the natural component, but also we do have a really nice middle school team. And I feel like I've made a lot of friends in that group, and that's a special thing to find. In other schools that I've worked in, that camaraderie isn't always found. But I'm here specifically to talk about Branching Minds, which is a new database that we're implementing into our middle school and high school, as well as in our elementary level, to help track student progression. And I don't claim to be an expert yet on this program. We're all kind of in the learning process here, and Lori Gregory and Jeff Cervoni have been helping us out a lot, coming into our PLCs, bringing us into trainings. And I had the opportunity to be on a smaller committee that met over the summer to get the initial introduction to Branching Minds. And it was very immersive and almost overwhelming at times how many tools are available through this program. And right now we're trying to use it not just for tracking academic progression, which we can bring in any of the tests we've been using, such as iReady and math, or we can also bring in the social emotional component through the Panorama surveys, and it brings all this data into one spot. And I see this being very useful as we start to build up our data over the next few years, because we can see how students progress and have it all visualized in front of us. And maybe it's my science background, but I like to see that data graphically. It makes it much more easy to understand, and we don't have to reach out to Lori when we have specific questions. We can see it for ourselves and access it on our own computers. It also gives us the opportunity to share information between teachers, right? So all teachers are encouraged to come up with intervention plans, and we can create small groups on this program. We can assign intervention plans, and then it gets sent out automatically to us teachers, and we can see it pop up on our dashboard. And then over time, we can see what interventions have been done so that we don't have to do the same thing twice, especially if it didn't work well. Maybe we can progress on it and use something else. So if you wanted to dive into it more, I'm happy to talk about branching minds, but to keep it short and sweet for tonight, I think it's a good initiative that our school is picking up. I do think it's going to be really helpful for students as we monitor them, but also as teachers as a tool that we can use and keep it in our toolbox. So thanks for the opportunity to talk, and it's nice to see you all tonight. Happy holidays.
Good job, Andy. All right, well, a big thank you to Mrs. Braun, Mr. Brunner, and Mr. Pearson. I appreciate you guys being here and speaking on behalf of the middle school. You guys do great work. Okay. Wrapping up here. Got a couple goals, middle school goals I'd like to share. Our first goal is to improve academics. Always a goal of ours, but obviously a primary goal. We want to continue to analyze data and improve academic performance. You've heard a lot about branching minds. We're hoping this plays a big role. We want to continue to review instructional practices. And we want to look at the supports that we offer and slowly keep increasing our use of branching minds and its ability to show us all the important data around students, academics, and social emotional, and using the things built into branching minds to put in supports and monitor progress. Our second goal is a social emotional learning goal. We'd like to ensure that all students' mental wellness is growing and thriving. And we hope to do this through review of our panorama data. This is our benchmarking data that shows us where our students are at. And we want to continue to work with SAME here to build on and improve the connections we have with our students. I appreciate your time. I know this was a long presentation. I thank you all, and I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
I do have a quick question. First of all, I'm sorry that I was late. And maybe you mentioned this, it took me a little bit to kind of settle in and get my head back into the game here. But I didn't hear, and if you talked about it, I'm sorry. With us and with any of the other schools that you interviewed, where are we at? And I know I think I talked to you about this the last time that you did a presentation. Let me backtrack. When we first started talking about moving to the middle school model years ago, one of the things I feel like we pushed with the community or kind of said like was kind of a selling point to them was that we were going to move to more of a team approach beyond the sixth graders. Are we still? I mean, I really do think that that is of a benefit to the kids, especially because middle school is such a huge transition. I know we're a smaller school, but I feel like we could still figure it out. So I'm just curious to know if where we're at with that and what those other schools said about it. And again, if you talked about it, I apologize.
No, we didn't talk about it. The only real difference between sixth grade and seventh and eighth is there's two teams in sixth grade, and we really look at our seventh and eighth grade as a team. They all have the same core teachers for every core subject. And the only time it really varies is if they take a different language or a different musical program. So they all seventh graders essentially have the same math, social science, and English teacher. So we really, yeah, sure. Correct. They have it now because of the extra time at the end of the day. They didn't. No, they do not have a common planning period across the board. We only have. There's not team planning. There's just a common off time. So a common planning period that they could utilize. And it's just the way the sixth grade schedule is built is they do have middle of the day. We did this on purpose for our sixth graders. There is a common time in the middle of the day that they can meet and as a core group. And I will tell you, we're working on the master schedule to create a core planning time. I don't know if we'll get there. We continue to try and we struggle through the schedule. What we found most important was that our ICT class had that common planning time because they teach that class together. The other time that we meet as a team per grade level is the 12 times a year our professional learning communities meet. So we meet from 2:15 till really whenever the meeting ends, but that is our professional learning communities that are really driven by student discussions. I know. Sure.
So when we're talking about students that need some help, we're organizing them into groups based on topic. And through that, we're starting to work out different interventions that we might be able to use or supports that we can administer throughout the day. That could be through resource room or through AIS classes. So that's right now kind of the main time that we have to work as a 7th grade team. The 8th grade has the same structure.
How many times a year does PLC meet?
That ends up being roughly twice a month, so almost every other week,
Okay.
a little less.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a couple.
Right.
And it's actually more of a couple district things and trying to relate what the school district's doing and what Mr. Savoni did in regards to going out and asking other districts what they're doing. So how often, and this is not only, I know Mr. Sortisio does it when he goes to the superintendent conferences, but do middle school principals kind of get together and collaborate? Is there like any central thing, countywide, statewide, where that could happen? I mean, I just know nationally, I've got a national organization, I just finished being the president of it. But to be able to reach out to somebody in Minnesota on how they're doing something, that's my industry that I'm in. But you know, it just rang with me as you were going through your presentation. I talked to these, and I'm just like, you know, are we utilizing that as, and even teachers as a whole? You know, could there be a branching mind session? You know, a national one, a local one. So what other schools are using it? And the ability to meet now, where you don't have to like travel everywhere. I mean, my schedule now just gets filled up with Teams meetings and Zoom meetings, but I'm so much more productive and so much more profitable doing it that way. But I'm just kind of looking as a district, is there an opportunity for that? A middle school principal group that meets, you know, once a quarter or something like that to discuss these type things, and you kind of build off of that. I know you attend a number of superintendent things, but even, you know, is there a branching minds one or environmental science type thing, just to see what other districts are doing? Randy, what do you?
I was just gonna say, I go to, this year I'm going to the middle school math forum, and I know every year we do that, so
Okay.
I meet with other middle school math teachers, and me and Kristen Jusiak and Amy Porter over the past couple of years, and we find them very useful to kind of see, you know,
What everybody else is doing.
And I think Ms. McCallum did the social studies one, so I know we have some of those that our teachers do in the high school too. I don't know about principals, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Mr. Sutton, we have a Western New York Middle School Association. We meet once a month, give or take. And it's Zoom, typically, or Teams, and we typically have, depending on the day, time, and topic, because they're not always just table discussions around middle school. It could be a presenter from, you know, someone talking to us about a math program. But we do have a really good group in Western New York, a nice listserv that we can ask questions. And we have, the president is, I believe she's at Cleve Hill Middle, and we do meet. And we can talk about all those things middle school. So we do have a nice network. I don't know if there's a national one, I would assume there is. But we have a really great local Western New York middle school principals group that I'm active in.
Let me take this just a We also go on to the Western New York Educational Service Council. And Mr. Cervoni and Mr. McDonough did attend a recent session and a similar session attended by Mrs. Rosa and Mrs. Carter, which was all about integrated co-teaching and learning again what other schools are doing and providing a critique in those ways. Mrs. Gregory was integral in working with Susan Hetz, who's an expert in integrated co-teaching, and bringing other schools in whenever that's scheduled. So there's a lot more of that interaction today in these times of the world.
Just the only other thing, same here, the next, you know when the next one is, and did we record the first one?
So, the next, I don't know, if I can
Yeah, go ahead.
if that's
You're
okay.
really pro on this one.
The next one is the evening of January 29th for a parent session. And it will be on Zoom again and in person for people who come in person. We did record the first one. I didn't think we were allowed to, but after talking to him after the fact, he gave us permission, so, I will record the next one.
Okay, just curious. I wasn't able to attend, so,
We do have like a kind of a summary he put together for us that Carrie Reiner is going to be.
Any other questions for Mr. Cervoni? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you all for presenting and
Thank
for
you.
being here. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Unless you want to, unless you're dying to watch this.
Students have to stay.
Okay.
Almost there. Almost there. Oh, there's a flag. Flag's gone.
We now have a request to withdraw specific items from the consent agenda.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Now is the public comment. Approximate position and time that the board has designated to receive statements from individuals and groups. The board will review all statements that respond appropriately at a future meeting. All persons in attendance are required to sign the attendance sheet and designate the representation status. For example, a parent, teacher, bus driver, chamber of commerce, etc. There's a 2-minute time limit.
Anyone?
Bueller?
Thank you.
All right. That's new business. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the resignation of cafeteria monitor Deborah Gagliardo be accepted effective December 19th, 2023. The board and administration wish to thank Mrs. Gagliardo for her service to the district.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Appointment guidelines. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, James Cross be appointed on probation as a cleaner effective December 18th, 2023 and ending June 17th, 2024. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 2, step 1.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Kristen Castleberry, who is currently a .483 FTE teacher aide, be appointed on probation as a 1.0 FTE teacher aide effective December 7th, 2023, and ending June 6th, 2024. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 4, step 2.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, Patrick Ty be appointed on probation as a bus driver effective December 11th, 2023 and ending June 10th, 2024. Salary is based upon CSEA contract level 9, step 1.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
Can you let me in the meeting?
New business. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the electrical contract bid for the 2022-2023 capital outlay project be awarded to Stenzel Electrical Construction, Inc. in the amount of $53,000. Base bid, $48,800. Alternate 3, $4,200.
Any discussion? Mr. Sortisio, has there been any talk of increasing this 100,000 to 250, or are we still stalled at 100K?
So as of today, we are still at $100,000 for capital outlay projects. Are we still advocating for that number to increase? Absolutely. Hopefully we have some good traction as we move forward through this legislative session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the bus route spreadsheet dated December 8th, 2023 be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the participation in social media litigation resolution be approved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation. Were you going to ask me a question?
No.
I saw you pushing your button. So the social media litigation is virtually identical to the litigation we entered into against the jewel industry and the opioid industry. And for the very same reasons, because of the efforts on those companies and the detrimental nature it's had on students' mental health. So it is at no upfront cost to the district. Any award that we receive or any attorney fees would be held from there. So yeah, we'll move forward with that, assuming that you vote in favor.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the request for proposal for cyber insurance be awarded to the New York State Insurance Reciprocal NYSIR.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carried.
This time we'll have the business report.
I just have a couple of brief things for you tonight. First one being the New York State Controller is on site. They will be here for our, once every 5 years, school districts are audited by the New York State Controller. It's our turn. They're doing a performance audit, and we anticipate they'll be here for at least 2 months. The next thing is just kind of an update on our cafeteria. The district has replaced the oven at the high school. The 1979 model of oven has served its usefulness for the district, and we've replaced it. And at the GLP, we have replaced the 2008 freezer with a newer, better model.
Next, we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So a capital project update. This is the current project. We are coming to the end of a very long road, as next week I sign off on the final cost reports for the capital project. This library, by the way, was part of that capital project, and as we've mentioned many times. This is the last step of closing out the project. There are some minor issues and a bit more work to be done, but we are considered substantially complete. This is very exciting. I do want to take this opportunity to congratulate this Board of Education, as well as past board members and my predecessor, Mrs. Sandy Anzalone, for their diligence in planning and passing the capital project proposal and for their efforts in the design and construction of the project. So thanks to all involved. Also, congratulations to all the district personnel who played parts both big and small in taking what were ideas through the many stages to create new and improved spaces. Finally, I want to congratulate the Greater Eden community for their support of the project and for their willingness to invest in our students. Again, thanks to all involved, as this project really has made a remarkable difference in our school and our community. And as my final comments for 2023, I wish the board, our students and staff, and the entire Eden community a most joyous holiday season and a happy new year. Thank you.
Student report.
Can I ask when the last meeting was, just so I don't go over like stuff that
November
hasn't
15th.
really been. All right. So,
Yep.
all right, I couldn't really tell. We did a food drive with the Eden North Collins Food Pantry. That was pretty successful, and all non-perishable food items and cash were donated on the 17th of November. Mrs. Doctor and 3 students from the Eden Middle School and High School Student Council had the opportunity to attend the Sandy Hook Save Promise Club Youth Leadership Training on the 14th. At this event, students were able to learn and collaborate with youth leaders around Western New York. They are working to continue to make a positive impact on the school and our community. Eden High School Student Council members attended the New York State Council on Leadership and Student Activities in Syracuse from the 19th to the 21st. There were 3 different speakers on leadership, and it was really fun, actually. I went on it, and I hope to go again. It was a pretty important trip, I would say, if you were in student council. I found it very helpful. We did a Toys for Tots that started on the 4th and ended on the 15th of this year. We did jammies for grannies and pappies, which was you would bring in pajamas and they were donated to the Eden Nursing Home. And in exchange for doing that, you got to wear pajamas on the 15th, which was a big incentive. So there was a middle school holiday dance on the 15th of December from 6:30 to 8. And then we're currently doing a Spirit Week. And then this Friday, we're doing Arctic Raider races where 5 students pull a teacher on a sled across the turf and they all race each other. And they all compete. 1 o'clock. Yeah.
You in? Rachel, you in?
Are they designed sleds, like, the moose type things, or?
It's any sled you want. You can like build it or trick it out.
As long as it's turf friendly, right?
Yeah, they had to
Okay.
inspect them.
Helmets? Bring out your motorcycle helmets. Get them all helmeted up here. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's all. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Great job.
Next is board report roundtable. Or horseshoe shaped, however you want to talk.
More microphones in here. There we go. I really don't have anything other than I just wanted to wish everyone happy holidays. I wanted to thank everyone. I know everyone's not here, but I wasn't here for the board appreciation meeting, but we got a lot of really nice gifts. My kids ate all the chocolate, so I didn't get any, but it looked really good. And I mean, the crafts were amazing. I'm using my keychain and the gift cards are much appreciated. And the mug is gorgeous. I'm afraid to wash it, but it's okay. I think it can go in the dishwasher. I don't know. Again. Okay. No, it didn't survive. Okay. I've been hand washing mine.
It was, but
Maybe it was top right.
it was top rack and it didn't work. So just as we finish one capital project, we start another one. So we just had a meeting prior to this one to start looking at the next capital project, which will go out to bid here December of 20 out to vote in December of 24. So about a year from now. So starting to work on that and more to come. That's all I got. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. And it's okay if it's going to be 50 and sunny on Christmas Day. It's not a bad thing. Right? Yes, after I discuss the weather. The next regular Board of Education meeting is January 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Eden Elementary School Auditorium. Could that possibly be changed? It may be back here, but right now Eden Elementary School. That upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Ed enter executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person.
So wait a second. go back or something? Are we looking at changing the meeting on the 17th of January? Oh, location. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
no, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, jeez, I didn't mean to screw you up on that.
Making sure I was on track.
All right.
All right, any discussion about that? All in favor of, aye, all right. Motion carried. Thanks for coming, everybody.